You've met her before, the independent one, the emotionally composed one, the woman who doesn't lean forward when men try to impress her. She isn't moved by flashy confidence, expensive gestures, or constant attention. She doesn't need your approval, your validation, or your reassurance. And that's exactly why she unsettles you. Most men don't feel challenged by women who seek them. They feel challenged by women who don't. When a woman appears self-contained and self-sufficient, something subtle happens psychologically. You can't read her easily. You can't predict her reactions. You don't know if she's impressed, curious, or completely indifferent. That uncertainty creates tension, and many men mistake that tension for rejection. So they respond the only way they know how. They push harder, more messages, more compliments, more intensity. They try to prove their worth quickly, hoping effort will earn access. But strong women don't respond to pressure. They respond to emotional stability. What you perceive as coldness is often discernment. What you call difficult is usually discipline. The mistake isn't that you're trying. The mistake is that you're trying in a way that disrupts her peace instead of adding to it. And if you want to understand how to truly attract a woman like this, you must first understand why her strength feels intimidating in the first place. The first mistake most men make with a strong woman happens within seconds. Before you finish your first sentence, she has already formed an impression. Research from Princeton University by Alexander Todorov and his team demonstrated that people form judgments about confidence and dominance in as little as 100 to 200 milliseconds. That means she isn't evaluating your words first. She's evaluating your regulation. There's a critical difference between controlled power and social aggression. Controlled power is quiet. It's grounded. It's steady eye contact without staring. It's speaking clearly without rushing. It's standing tall without invading space. It communicates, "I'm comfortable here," without demanding attention. Social aggression, on the other hand, leaks insecurity. It shows up as excessive volume, forced charisma, overcompensating body language, or trying too hard to dominate the room. It says, "Notice me," instead of "I belong here." Strong women are highly attuned to this difference. They have encountered both types countless times, and they can sense when confidence is authentic versus when it's a performance designed to gain approval. If you stay passive, waiting for the perfect moment, you fade into the background. But if you approach with intensity that feels forced, she emotionally steps back. The solution is simple, but not easy. Approach directly and speak calmly. No theatrics, no exaggerated charm, no need to impress. Assertiveness is attractive. Aggression is insecurity disguised as strength. And in those first few moments, your emotional regulation matters far more than your words. Once the introduction is made, the real evaluation begins. A strong, independent woman is used to being self-sufficient. She has built her life around competence, autonomy, and discipline. So when a man approaches her, she isn't asking, "Is he impressive?" She's subconsciously asking something far more important. "Does he need something from me?" Most men fail at this stage. They begin listing achievements. They talk about income, business plans, gym routines, ambition, future goals. They try to prove they are high value. But the harder a man tries to demonstrate his worth, the more he reveals doubt about it. There is a powerful psychological difference between internal validation and external validation. A man with external validation performs. He adjusts his tone for approval. He watches her reactions carefully. He speaks to be admired. A man with internal validation speaks because he chooses to. He shares selectively. He isn't scanning her face for reassurance. He doesn't need her reaction to feel stable. That stability triggers curiosity. Curiosity activates dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with anticipation and reward. When she senses a man who is calm, self-contained, and not fishing for validation, her mind begins asking questions. Who is he? Why is he so composed? What does he know that I don't? The man who wants to be liked often talks too much. The man who doesn't need to be liked becomes intriguing. Strong women are rarely drawn to men who need them. They are drawn to men who don't need them, but choose them. And that difference changes everything. This is where many men unknowingly collapse the tension. You meet her once, and within 20 minutes, she knows your childhood struggles, your career frustrations, your 5-year plan, and the name of your dog. You believe you're being open, honest, authentic, but what you're actually doing is eliminating anticipation. Attraction thrives on gradual discovery. It grows in the space between what is known and what is unfolding. In psychology, this is often referred to as the curiosity gap. When the brain senses incomplete information, dopamine rises. We lean forward. We want to know more. But when everything is revealed too quickly, there is nothing left to anticipate. A strong woman is not only listening to your words, she is observing your pacing, your restraint, your emotional control. When you speak excessively or rush into personal depth too soon, it can signal urgency. And urgency often feels like insecurity. The man who overshares early is usually trying to secure connection. The man who reveals himself slowly is already secure. This doesn't mean playing games or being emotionally distant. It means being intentional. Let conversations breathe. Allow silence to exist without rushing to fill it. End interactions while the energy is still positive instead of exhausting every topic. Leave her with a question instead of a full biography. Because the truth is simple. When you reveal everything at once, you remove the reason to return. When you unfold gradually, you create anticipation. And anticipation is where attraction deepens. Once curiosity is established, the focus must shift. Most men continue trying to impress, but if you want to move from attention to connection, you must stop performing and start understanding. A strong woman has layers, ambition, standards, private fears she rarely shows in public. If you only engage with the surface, her appearance, her independence, her status, you will remain on the surface. Depth requires emotional validation. Research by Dr. John Gottman on long-term relationship stability highlights something powerful. The ability to acknowledge and understand a partner's internal experience is one of the strongest predictors of bonding and trust. When someone feels emotionally understood, their nervous system relaxes, defensiveness lowers, openness increases, but validation does not mean fixing her problems. It does not mean analyzing her. It does not mean agreeing with everything she says. It means listening without preparing your response. It means asking questions because you're genuinely curious about how she sees the world. It means reflecting back what you hear without trying to outshine her story. Most men listen to respond. Very few listen to understand. A strong woman is used to being admired. She is used to compliments. She is used to attention. What she is not used to is being seen beyond her armor. When she feels that you are interested in knowing her, not conquering her, something shifts. Her posture softens. Her tone changes. She begins to lean in, not because you impressed her, but because you respected her internal world. And respect builds connection far faster than performance ever could. Understanding her emotionally is powerful, but connection deepens when your worlds begin to intersect. A strong woman has built a life she is proud of. Her routines, passions, and ambitions are not accessories. They are extensions of her identity. When you show genuine interest in what matters to her, you signal respect, not strategy. There's a psychological principle known as the similarity attraction effect, introduced by social psychologist Don Byrne in 1971. The research consistently shows that perceived similarity increases liking and emotional comfort. When we discover shared values, interests, or perspectives, our brains register safety. And safety is not boring. Safety is stabilizing. If she values intellectual conversations, engage her mind. If she enjoys the outdoors, explore with her. If she is driven professionally, respect her ambition instead of competing with it. But here is where many men make a critical mistake. They pretend compatibility. They mirror her interests artificially. They agree too quickly. They reshape themselves to fit her world. A strong woman can sense incongruence faster than you think. When your behavior doesn't align with your identity, trust fractures. You are not trying to merge into her life. You are allowing your world and hers to intersect naturally. That intersection, where shared values meet authentic presence, is where bonding begins. Support her world. Don't invade it. Now comes the stage where momentum begins to build. The conversations feel natural. There's shared laughter, subtle chemistry, mutual curiosity. And this is exactly where many men sabotage themselves. They rush. They mistake emotional excitement for emotional depth. They confess too much too soon. They declare seriousness before the foundation has had time to form. They try to secure what hasn't fully grown. A strong woman has seen this pattern before. She recognizes premature escalation instantly. When a man offers exclusivity, intense affection, or dramatic emotion before genuine consistency is established, it doesn't feel romantic. It feels unstable. Emotional pacing matters. When your emotions outrun reality, it signals imbalance. It suggests that you are reacting to potential rather than responding to what actually exists between you. And strong women do not trust emotional instability, no matter how flattering it may sound. Restraint is rare. That's why it stands out. You don't need to express deep feelings after 2 dates. You don't need to flood her with constant reassurance. You don't need to prove how serious you are before she has demonstrated equal depth. Value unfolds gradually. When you move at a steady, grounded pace, you separate yourself from men who chase intensity instead of building connection. You demonstrate that your emotions are disciplined, not impulsive. And that discipline builds respect, because intensity may spark attraction, but emotional control sustains it. Eventually, you will encounter her walls. You'll notice moments where she pulls back slightly, times when she becomes more reserved, situations where she maintains emotional distance instead of leaning fully in. And many men misinterpret this instantly. They assume she's cold. They assume she's uninterested. They assume she's emotionally unavailable. But strength and distance are not the same thing. Many independent women develop their self-reliance out of necessity, not preference. At some point in her past, relying too heavily on someone may have resulted in inconsistency, disappointment, or betrayal. Over time, independence became protection. Attachment theory, first introduced by John Bowlby and later expanded by Hazan and Shaver in 1987, explains that individuals with avoidant tendencies often appear highly self-sufficient. They value autonomy. They minimize emotional dependence, not because they lack depth, but because vulnerability once felt unsafe. So when you encounter a guarded woman, you're not seeing rejection, you're seeing protection. Guarded does not mean cold. Independent does not mean incapable of love. Here's the paradox: she doesn't need you, but she may want someone. If that someone feels safe, if you react to her distance with frustration or pressure, you confirm her fears. You become another example of instability. But if you remain steady, not chasing, not retreating, not demanding reassurance, you create contrast. Walls are built to block chaos, not consistency. And when she senses that your presence does not disrupt her peace, her defenses don't need to stay as high. Even after curiosity is piqued and walls are recognized, many men make the same critical mistake. They misread temporary distance as rejection. She may pull back for a day, she may take longer to respond, she may seem reserved after a vulnerable conversation. Most men panic. They either chase harder or withdraw completely. Both reactions are driven by fear. Strong women are wired for autonomy. When someone feels emotionally cornered, their nervous system instinctively shifts into protection mode. Pressure doesn't create closeness, it creates withdrawal. This is why emotional regulation is essential. You cannot rush a guarded woman. You cannot respond to her pauses with frustration. You cannot try to force connection before she is ready. Instead, persistence is expressed through consistency, not intensity. Show up, keep your tone steady, respect her boundaries without resentment, maintain interest without demanding reciprocation, allow silence to exist without immediately filling it. This is the subtle but powerful difference. The man who panics confirms her fears. The man who remains grounded creates safety. When she feels free and you remain calm, she begins to associate you with security instead of stress. She no longer scans for instability. She no longer braces for pressure. Instead, she leans in, not impulsively, not dramatically, but intentionally. Stability, patience, and emotional consistency are far more attractive than intensity, flashy gestures, or overeagerness, because attraction isn't earned by chasing. It's cultivated through measured presence. At this stage, attention, curiosity, and emotional regulation have all aligned. The final layer is trust, and it's built quietly, not with grand gestures. A strong woman doesn't fall in love because you impressed her. She falls in love because she feels emotionally secure around you. Security is created through repeated micro actions over time, showing up when you say you will, keeping your tone steady, respecting her boundaries without resentment, and offering your presence without expecting something in return. Many men unknowingly sabotage trust by attaching hidden agendas to their actions. If I do this, she owes me intimacy. That mindset kills security instantly. True stability has no strings. Rushing emotional milestones has the same effect. Saying, I love you too soon doesn't feel romantic. It signals imbalance. Strong women test for durability, not drama. They are attracted to consistency, not intensity. Trust grows when your behavior aligns over time, when your interest doesn't spike and crash, when your calm persists under stress, when your presence is steady, reliable, and unpressured. And here's the subtle truth. The moment she realizes you aren't trying to control her, possess her, or accelerate the connection prematurely, she begins to choose you. Strong women don't fall for pressure, they fall for safety. And emotional safety is the ultimate magnet. Because in the end, attraction is not about chasing outcomes. It's about becoming the kind of man whose presence naturally draws her in. Let's recap the path to attracting a strong, independent woman without losing your composure. Regulate yourself. Approach with calm confidence, not performative dominance. Spark curiosity. Share selectively. Hold back enough to create intrigue. Understand her deeply. Listen to her world without judgment, without trying to fix it. Move with restraint. Match the emotional pace of the connection. Don't rush intimacy. Remain steady at her walls. Respect her independence while offering consistency and presence. Weak men try to impress. Grounded men make strong women feel safe. Intensity may spark attention, but stability sustains desire. Anyone can create chemistry for a night. Very few men can create emotional safety for a lifetime. The woman you call difficult isn't looking for a thrill. She's looking for a man whose presence doesn't disrupt her peace. So the question isn't, how do I make her fall? The question is, can I become the kind of man she chooses? When you master your own presence, outcomes stop being chased. They start moving toward you. Stop chasing. Start leading.